Yes.
He's the only one that bought from this year. start the planning session. I know we have a member of the auditors here that's going to speak. But first, Dr. Hartmeyer. Yes.
Good evening, Brian Crucial from Zalmkowski Axelrod, the district's external auditor, here to present the financial statements and single audit report for 2023. First, some required communications. We conducted our audits in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, the Uniform Guidance Single Audit Act that governs federal expenditures, and the Yellow Book standards, which go in conjunction with federal audit standards. We did not have any issues. We didn't find any findings in accordance with those standards. During our audit, we didn't encounter any difficulties with management. Everything we asked for was provided to us. We had no disagreements with management. We didn't have any uncorrected audit adjustments, no disagreements with the numbers there. There weren't any big new accounting standards this year either. So if you looked at this year's financial statements compared to last year's financial statements, you're not going to see any big changes in note disclosures, any weird balances that you saw in 2023 that you didn't see in 2022. There was a couple new accounting standards that just weren't applicable to the district. So no changes there. Your most sensitive disclosures in the financial statements, and we'll get into them too, are, your most sensitive disclosures in the financial statements are your long-term debt, your employee retirement pension disclosures, and your other post-employment benefit, which is your retiree health insurance disclosures. Those last two, the pension and the retiree health insurance, those are based on estimates. PSERS is done by the state. They have their own audit. They have their own actuary. We rely on that information. The retiree health insurance is done by Duda Consulting. It's an actuary firm that prepares those informations. So that's in the financial statements as well. That's nothing new. Those are just required disclosures in the financial statements. Those have been in there for a while with the same vendors, same everything. Getting into the financial statements, your financial statements contain an unmodified opinion. That's the best opinion we can give you. That means we believe that these financial statements are materially accurate in all respects. We don't believe there's any adjustments needed to bring these statements to accordance with generally accepted accounting standards in the United States of America. Moving into the numbers, I don't know if everyone has these statements in front of them or not. Page 4 through page 12 is your management discussion and analysis. So these are, page 4 through 10, sorry, is your management discussion and analysis. These are the changes from year to year, just some informative stuff, compares balances from 2022 to 2023. See some context for some of the changes. Like I said, not a lot of changes from 22 to 2023. We're still spending down that ESSER funding, so that's still a big number on the federal expenditure side, but that is starting to wind down, but that wasn't new for 2023, that was new for 2020, so you've been spending it down since then. Page 11 starts the actual financial statements, and it starts with the statement of net position. These are the entity-wide statements, so they have your fixed assets, your long-term debt on it. Page 13 gets to the fund level financial statements. That's where you're going to see the general fund, which is really the biggest focal point of school district financial statements for the most part. That's where all your tax dollars are captured. That's where all your operating expenses generally come out of. Usually if there's a big construction project, you're going to issue debt for it. You're going to have a construction fund, so that's not going to show up in the general fund. The general fund is your operating fund for the most part. You can see there on page 13, your fund balance is up to just under $4 million. So that's a turnaround from where, when I first started as the auditor here, that was negative. So you do have a healthy fund balance now. Your budget's about $33 million, so you are over 10%, which is the safe harbor, really. They want you somewhere between 10 and 15% in fund balance of current year budget for basically continuing operations. So that's what, if you were going to go out and issue debt, that's what the credit rating agencies would look at. how much do you have in fund balance, and do you have a sufficient amount? Do you have a tax base that can still support this debt? Page 15 there is the income statement for your general fund. And you can see it did increase by about $1 million in 22 to 23. The big change there is you had $1.6 million in ESSER. So you can see there, your revenues up at the top, those local revenue sources, that's really your tax revenue, and there's some grant revenue in there too from the IU. So if you back that off, your taxes are between 6 and 7 million of a $33 million budget. So your real estate taxes and your earned income are not really the main driver of your operations. You can see there the state revenue sources and the federal revenue sources. Those are what's really funding, for the most part, the general fund budget. So you're kind of at the whim of the state and local government for those, or state and federal government for those amounts. That $3.5 million, that does include that 1.6 of ESSER funding, so that will go down as over the next couple years. Your state revenue, that includes your basic ed subsidy, so any increases in that gets shown on that line. So that's one of the big drivers of schools across the state that we work with right now is can that basic ed subsidy keep up with inflation? But other than that, you can see down there your debt service expenditures. So you have about $2.9 million in debt service expenditures every year. That's pretty consistent. It goes out for the next 15 to 20 years. It goes down to about 2.8 million, but it's pretty consistent, that amount. And that's how the debt payments were scheduled out when the debt was issued, just to keep that pretty consistent. So there wasn't any lean years where you had a balloon payment or anything. Page 17, your business type activities. That's just your cafeteria fund. You have one business type activity. It is your cafeteria fund. You can see there the cafeteria fund does have a healthy net position now too, $1.7 million. They were helped out a lot in recent years, a lot more grant funding available. Everybody qualified for free and reduced lunch, so that helped turn that fund around. So you do have some money there, and that's being spent down on improvements to the cafeteria fund. I know it wasn't, I don't believe it was in this one, but there are some several purchases for the cafeteria that I think will show up in the 2023-24 financial statements. Page 20 is the notes. Like I said, not a lot of change here. I'll point you to, page 42, post-retiree healthcare benefits. That's what I was talking about, the OPEB, the other post-employment benefits. So that's one of the big disclosures. It's a big number, it's a big liability for every school district in the state. That's just the health insurance, and then you get to the actual pension, which is an even bigger number for every school, a bigger liability number for every school district in the state. That's on page 49. That starts the employee retirement program and all the disclosures related to that. But if you look on page 54, you can see there your current retiree liability, and this is a liability that will be reduced over time, is $32 million. You can see down there, $32.5 million, halfway down page 54. So that's what is already earned and accrued according to the actuary, according to PESR's audit report for the district. So that's what's right now earned and accrued for your current and past employees' retirement benefits. And that's not out of line with any other district. PESR's is the same level of funded for every district in the state. Page 57, you can see there is your budgetary comparative schedule for the general fund. So your amounts budgeted and then your amounts, the actual amounts. So you can see there you were a little bit over budget in revenues and a little bit over budget in expense. And that's what got you to the $1.1 million increase in fund balance. The next few schedules are just more information for your other post-employment benefits and pension. Getting into the single audit report, so like I said earlier, we did not, that's the second, I don't know if you have the smaller report too, that's our opinion on federal compliance and internal controls. No findings. We evaluated and tested your internal controls over financial reporting and over federal compliance. We didn't note any deficiencies, any weaknesses in those controls. We tested this year for major programs, the ESSER funds, which were required to test anytime it's over $750,000, and the Child Nutrition Cluster, which is your cafeteria's federal program. And we didn't have any issues with compliance with those two programs. So all that funding was spent in accordance with the uniform guidance with the federal guidelines for those programs. And you can see towards the very end of that page, we'll have our schedule of findings and question costs. There are no findings or question costs. And page 10 of that report is actually the results of our audit. And you can see there at the very bottom, did the auditee qualify as a low-risk auditee? The answer to that question is yes, because you haven't had findings in the previous 2 audit periods. So anytime there's a finding in the previous 2 audit periods, that would kick you into a high-risk status. It means we would need to test a higher percentage of federal programs. So that's kind of a feather in your cap when you have that designation as a low-risk auditee, that you are managing your federal program, federal funding correctly. Is there any questions on anything I went over?
Yes, I have questions. You stated that the information given to you was provided, correct?
Yeah.
When it's provided, are the things that you have to have, or things that are just laid on the table when you go through it?
I mean, both. We sent a list ahead of time.
Do you have a checklist that you go to each school and say, I've got to have this, got to have this, got to have this to do an audit? Is that
There's basic requirements of every
standard?
audit. Yeah.
And the total cost of this audit, do you have that? What is this?
I think our fee was $18,000.
$18,000? Okay, and can you answer me how many hours were spent on this audit?
Not off the top of my head. I can get it for you.
I'd like to have that information.
Sure.
Do you recall what last year's audit's costs were?
It's usually a 2 to 3% increase every year for inflation, so probably 17,000 something.
Okay, so what I like to know is the time, rough amount of hours spent on the audit.
Sure.
To complete the audit.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, at this time, a couple comments. We start testing. PSA testing starts next week from our 3rd to 8th graders. I'd also like to recognize Dr. Kristen Martin, who was recently recognized by the Tri-States Council for Up-and-Coming Female Leadership Award this past week. So we're very blessed to have somebody of her caliber with us. So Kristen, congratulations. A few items that I want to touch base on that were brought up last month regarding some things in regards to student safety and bullying. I want to first start with the programs and procedures that were in place to begin with. The bullying procedures and reporting forms have been in place for about 3 or 4 years. When those forms, and this is information that we had the principals bring to our attention, when those forms are completely filled out and the procedures are followed, we have about a 95%, maybe a little higher than a 95% success rate in those procedures. We also have our SAP program, which is a student assistance program that meets once a month with teachers, counselors, administrators, nurses, and we're looking at things for children who may be in need in many different areas, and then gearing them and pointing them in the right direction for services, whatever they would need. PBIS is our positive behavior intervention system that's been in place for about 5 or 6 years now. That is, again, they meet monthly at each building level, and they use positive reward systems to curtail behavior. Our MTSS program is getting off the ground in a much stronger capacity this year, multi-tiered support systems that we have in place. That's more on the academic end, so then we can have interventions in place for students as they start to fall through the cracks or stop them from falling through the cracks. We have positive behavior support plans in place. We have an 85% increase in our FBAs. Restorative practices is started this year with the teachers in regards to professional development, and it's starting to be instituted in our schools, and it'll be full-fledged next year with our students. Thanks to the board, we purchased Team Talk in the elementary for grades 3, 4, and 5. As we said a year ago, we had a large amount of young kids contemplating suicide, and since we have put this into place, we haven't had any, and we've had some very quick situations where it was brought to our counselors' attention where we could address students' needs right away. So that's been a very positive aspect for our school district. In the secondary, in the middle school, and the high school, we use the PASS surveys to get a feel for what the kids are going through and what their needs may be. We do that 3 times a year. Those surveys then are taken and met with the administration, and we look at the areas in which we need to improve upon. Safe to Say has been in effect for about 5 or 6 years. I believe we've only had 1 bullying report in the last 3 years, and that was in the high school with the Safe to Say. We have Hall Pass that was put in place for secondary this year, so we have better track of where kids are going to be during the course of the day. And again, the WIN program was implemented. There's a threat assessment team that was implemented 2 years ago, made up of administrators and director of security, counselors, and those are looking at outside and internal possible threat assessments that we go through to meet the state recommendations. There was a technical threat vulnerability assessment audit that was performed about 2 months ago by IEI, looking at all of our camera systems, technology systems, and so forth to see where our strengths and where our vulnerabilities are. Action taken since we have met, since the last month and a half, as a lot of this stuff has come to the forefront. Dr. Martin and I met in person with the building principals on 2 different occasions. Any student that was involved in any altercations have been disciplined and are recorded disciplined. Directed to principals to address their student conduct with their staff and their student body, that was done as well. Discussions with the director of security on making sure our guards are more visible and active in the hallways, that was done as well. Reached out to all Fayette County school superintendents to gather information on what some of the things that they're going through. As of last month, the average in the county schools and 2 outlying schools ranged from 6 fights in their high schools to 38 fights. Brownsville had 12 at that time. We created, as you know, last month, the addendum to our student handbook in regards to videotaping and so forth with the cell phones with fights. A letter was sent out to the parents with our concerns that was also looked at and reviewed by the board before it was sent out. We met with, thanks to Dr. Mahalik, we met with Dr. Lepore from Cal U to start the process of designing professional development for both our staff and looking at student programs. We'll be bringing the state police in for a K-12 bullying assembly, which they'll meet with all 3 buildings. We have partnered with Verticals Downtown to join with them in their Enough campaign. Some other things that are also safety related, we'll have new locks on all points of entries that will be done this summer. Vape detectors, which will be purchased. We will be one of the first schools in the state to have all of our staff trauma-enforced training. And the Pennsylvania State Police are in the middle or in the early stages of putting together their threat assessment of our school system. And then next year too, one of the strong points that we're going to be doing with the Win Point is engaging in a lot stronger mentoring program with our staff and with our students. So those are some things I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to address, that we heard your voices, that did not go unheard. We can learn from every situation. Are we perfect? No. Can we get better? Absolutely. And we'll continue to go down that path. So I want to thank you for this time, and Mr. Delrose, it's yours.
Point of order, Mr. President. We, the board, at some point last week or so, received a memo that all employees would receive their appreciation day in this district. They would be appreciated in some way or another. So I would like tonight to give my thanks to the paraprofessionals who did not get appreciated. In the month before that, security did not get appreciated. So we were all sent that memo that someone was going to be in charge to make sure all these people were appreciated for what they do. But that seemed to fall by the wayside. But we do appreciate certain employees, but certain other ones we don't. So Mr. President, I'm again thanking the paraprofessionals for what they do, and who's ever next in line, I hope that you get appreciated.
Mr. Bashir, in all due respect, I know Dr. Nicholson, I know the paraprofessionals were recognized that week.
How were they?
I also know that the security was given an opportunity to have their picture taken a day afterwards, and they refused to take that picture. So they are recognizing.
Do you ever
we do
find
have-
out why that happens when they get disrespected like that? And I'm not going to go into it because this is going to be a long meeting. But what I'm saying to you is, what did the paraprofessionals receive?
They were, each building had a cake.
Each building had a cake. And security received a piece of paper that said, "Thank you for protecting my kids." And then administrators, not the principals, everybody else gets cake and ice cream and pancakes and donuts before they're even hired here. So I'm not going to let go of this. We're either going to treat everybody fairly and give them the same things, or we're not. That's just one issue of about 50 I've got tonight. So I'm done.
I had one question when you were going through everything, Doc. You said with the bullying reports, that we only received one?
No, that was under safe to say. If somebody calls safe to say.
Okay.
Correct, yeah.
'Cause
No, we have other bullying
Yeah,
reports.
because I thought
Absolutely.
we'd get more, yeah, okay. Yeah. Do you think the students and parents are very familiar with the safe to say?
To answer your question, when it first came out, absolutely. Has it really kind of gone silent recently, more so than it has 4 or 5 years
Because
ago?
I know we were getting quite a few in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if we'd send a memo out, a flyer, something like that to inform the parents. Maybe have the teachers remind the students that that's there for them.
Mhm.
I think that would be helpful.
I believe at one time there was also things that were on the walls too, for safe to say. I'll have to check with the.
Yeah, they may be going by.
I just add another thing. At some point last week before midnight, this board received an email that there was a credible threat to this district. Now, a credible threat, from what I understand, a credible threat is bodily harm. So, but my question is, why did we compromise the safety of not even telling security so they could go out to the parking lot and tell the students who drive here, go home or something, the students who walk down this street to go to the school, the teachers who get out of their car, the teachers who go back to get their books, were not told that there was a credible threat. Someone could have been anywhere. Who dropped the ball on that one? We got informed as a board, but since that day, I have never got another damn email from this board, from this school district. Why am I left out? Because I talk a lot, but I talk the truth.
Mr.
Now,
Bashir, Mr. Bashir, again.
I want to know why that we did not inform security that there was a credible threat.
That-
Shouldn't they know with their heads on a swivel to protect the teachers, our very students? That is wrong. I don't care about the board getting informed. They should have been informed. And if it's not you that dropped the ball, somebody dropped it. And I want an investigation, and I want to know who dropped it.
Mr.
Because
Bashir,
our
there's
kids were
two
vulnerable.
things.
Our kids were vulnerable.
Security was involved there from the very beginning, and the rest of this has to do with personnel issues that I cannot speak.
I don't care about personnel issues. I'm telling you that our students need to be safe. And when they walk down that street, or when they park their car by those tennis courts, they have to walk 100 yards. The teachers have to get out of their car. The students have to get off the bus.
Mr.
And
Bashir,
security
the state
standing
police
there
were
waiting.
involved,
They don't know
and
that
they
there was
cleared the
a
situation
credible
for
threat.
us.
This wasn't somebody saying, I'm going to beat Jody up. This was a credible threat that there could be bodily harm. Someone could have been in the woods with a gun. Someone could have been with a knife. That's all we hear. Why is this not taken serious? Now, who dropped the ball? Security should be the first ones to know that there's a threat. Be on the lookout for things out in the parking lot. Go out there. And if we had a security vehicle, maybe they could have rode out there and warned the students. Not put them in jeopardy, Dr. Hartbar. But I'm furious about this. I'm big on safety, especially in today's society. You cannot take anything lightly. You cannot. And we're doing it. And if security is not informed, how in the hell will they know to look for stuff?
Mr. Bashir, that is not accurate information. Security has been involved in this process.
You're telling us that's not what I'm seeing. I drove around the school last week, 3 doors were propped open. Now that is against the law. They're propped open.
Where are they propped open? I want to know that myself.
I called and said
Where are
they're
they,
propped
I mean,
open.
what stores?
I don't
are
know
propped
every
open?
access to this district, every door, but a door should not be open
I agree with you, but which door is it, Rock? So I know myself. I want to know it myself.
You want me to tell you in private or tell you right now?
I don't care. You brought it up. Say
Okay,
it
the
now.
first door is right, Dr. Hartbar's office is here, it's the next door down. What's that? The wood shop, wide open. The maintenance room, wide open. The cafeteria, wide open. I should have took the pictures. I have one picture to just show you that I'm not lying. I can't help it, my job brings me up on these grounds, but I do see it. So I took the picture so that I'm not lying. Doors should never be, if somebody goes out if someone's standing by the door, I've got no problem with that. But for someone to walk right out of these woods, because there's no fence, there's nothing to stop anybody, can walk right into school. And then we can be sorry that somebody got hurt. So I see the doors, Rick, I see them. And I'm sorry, I told you 2 weeks ago, kid was hanging out the top floor window. Should have took a picture of that. This is not going to stop until there's fairness and respect on this board. I'm not going to stop. I've got 4 years here, and I'm staying.
Public comment for any person. I think Mr. Euler, I believe you called, I think you're first.
It was interesting. What can I say? There's been a lot of rhetoric, a lot of rumors, a lot of problems in the amount of months that I haven't been allowed to come here, Dr. Hartbauer. And my questions tonight are directly for you. So I'd appreciate if you look at me and show some respect, because you haven't shown me any. I want to ask you a question about policies and procedures. Okay? How do you know when you have to actually update a procedure? I want to know what your thought process is. Can you answer that?
I'll be glad to sit down and schedule.
I don't want to sit down. We're here. Now,
I'm not responding.
here's what I expected, audience. Like always, I'm right here. In the position you're in, you're not qualified to answer that question, or you don't want to challenge me on it. What I will tell you guys, I'm a risk manager by living, and I love tearing in the root cause. And I'm going to tell you all right now, you know why nothing's getting done? You know why all this stuff's getting tied up? Because your problem's sitting right up there in the middle of that stage. And you guys can shake your head, but I'm a stickler when it comes to things like this. Policy and procedures are put in place to create controls, correct? What kind of monitoring program do you have to justify you have a 95% accuracy or acceptable rate on your bullying policy? What did you actually monitor?
Every bullying report that came across the principal's desk.
All right, okay, I'm going to ask you the next question because that's just one thing you can do. What did you determine as the benchmarks of success? Anybody? What was the benchmark of success? Guys, what did we measure and determine as our benchmark of success? What, just filling the form out right? Guys, there's more to it. You should realize that every policy and procedure that you write is not going to be right. You don't put a procedure out to make problems go away. I heard you list off probably 25 different aspects that you've put in place since this has began to raise its situation out in life. Okay? What's your timeline on that? You guys realize that you can't roll everything like that. There's got to be secrecy to it. There's got to be deliverables. There's got to be measurable goals. I have people come in and audit my company, okay? I lay it out to them. This is going to happen here. So I'm gonna ask again, you rattled off, what, 15, 20 different programs or reach outs, right? How are they going to work? How are you measuring that? What's your success criteria? What's your timeline? How are you going to implement change management, communication, meetings? I'm asking this. Because if you're saying all this is in play, then tell me what's in play besides I talked to you.
Every one of those programs that I mentioned, we have the factual information and the statistics that show those areas. Whether it's areas of weakness or whether it's an area of
You
strength.
gotta ask about what it does.
And I'm not gonna get into those because I'm not prepared to speak on those.
When are you laying it out?
At this
What is
juncture,
the plan?
if you would like to come in and give me the
No,
exact specifics,
everybody's here.
I don't have that information in front of me to go over that with you.
Well, then I'm gonna ask you again. How can you determine that you have a 95% success rate with what you have in motion?
Because 95% of the kids who filled out the form did not get back in trouble the second time or did the situation had stopped. And that was the information that came directly from the building principals, from the forms themselves.
Okay, you're talking about the kids that created issue. What are you doing to stop further issue?
I listed all those things.
And I asked you to tell me what the plan is, what the deliverables are, what the expectations are, and what you're going to use as your criteria for measuring the success.
Those plans are all in place and those and that's not
You can't
accurate.
answer no one.
That's not accurate.
That's not accurate.
No, that is not accurate.
You gotta have the answer.
All those plans and programs that are in place have the criteria and have a plan that's put in place. Each kid gets an individual plan depending on what the particular situation is. Those plans, whether it's a behavior, academic, or attendance plans, are monitored, and as they are monitored,
Monitored how?
they're monitored by the counselor, by the principals, all right, by grades, by
The same monitoring and what you're doing are two different things. Look, I can recite tree right now. You got that? It's in Right Z, section 1026.7. Does that mean we solved tree? No, we didn't. And like always, every question, I'm asking you this. I gave you all suggestions 2 or 3 years ago to begin an annual review of all policies and procedures. Has that ever been adopted? No. Need to hear from them, guys.
I think you even offered to help with
I
some
get it
things.
for free, right? That's right. Remember, guys, for free.
Yep.
25 years experience on my job. Offered to do it for free. So I'm gonna ask, has that ever been adopted?
our policies and procedures are done by Pennsylvania School Board Association. When the new ones come through, we then do our first and second
That's no
reading.
different than when CFPB comes knocking on my door and I do what they ask me to do. That doesn't mean, I'm gonna tell you all this. What that's called is a reactive approach versus a proactive approach. When you are proactive, you can always want to get better. I heard you say that. And what you do when you lay that out, if you have 100 policies, you break it, you chunk it, but you ensure they get touched. And listen, you can't do it all at once. That's why I'm bringing my point up. You rambled off all this stuff we're going to do right now, and we don't have a plan on how we're going to do it.
We have a plan on it.
Okay, tell me what it is. I asked 4
And
times.
I asked you to come in and meet with me.
No,
I'm
I've
not
done
like-
that before. I haven't.
Thank you.
And that's my real success. Has it? What's that?
5 minutes. I think you called.
No, I'm not 5 minutes. All right. So the other thing that I'm gonna say, I'll be quick, Marty, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not. All I want is questions for the taxpayers. So I'm gonna ask one more time. I guess what it is, we're still following the standard protocol. Unless we get told by the state we're not gonna touch anything. I'm gonna tell you as a risk manager why that's wrong. You should always be trying to evolve your organization. You should always be trying to be in front of the issue instead of having to get standard control around. All of your policies and procedures should be reviewed internally, not just because the state has. And it should happen on an annual occurrence. That, guys, is what will get you success. That is what will get you change. other school districts have going on. Just like when I do my job. I don't care what my other members are doing. My job is to protect my house. And I don't benchmark success because I'm not as bad as them. What I'm trying to say is this. We can do better. We should do better. But with you sitting in that seat, we aren't going to do better. And I'm going to tell you this. I think you owe Lloyd an apology. You told him to his face that you were going to talk to him. Leadership reflects attitude, Dr. Harbauer. And you know why your staff, you know why your students don't want to get behind you? Because when it's the time for you to face the people that you're making a tough decision on, and you're absent. And you always have been. So I'm going to tell you guys, this is just my personal opinion. I saw root cause for a living. Your root cause is sitting right on there. Until you fix that, nothing's going to get fixed.
We appreciate no personal attacks. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlie Gable. So, I don't need one. First off, Dr. Hartbauer, the fact that you said that all these issues were just brought to light last month, if you actually go back and look at the videos that are posted, because the rest are gone, I brought this up to you in private meetings with you, Dr. Martin, the principals, and every administration in this building had seen videos, fight videos. So 12 was actually the wrong number. You had 8 in one day. You had 7 just in the elementary in, September, in the bathrooms. So before you report on false numbers, make sure you have actual facts. Number 2, the fact that we're talking about spending more money for what? More apps to come in. I'm sorry, I didn't have a lot of time to review this, but we were talking about a leadership program. Do you know what integrity is? Mr. Hartbauer, I want to ask you directly. Do you know what integrity is?
Yes, I do.
Then please explain to me the definition of integrity. If you can't, then I want Mr. Delaware too. Either one of you explain to me what integrity is? Because right now, neither one of you have it. The fact that you both have access to the means to get the help to this district, why do we have how many unpaid lawsuits, or how many lawsuits go out for special education? But the law firm that represents our district has an attorney with a special education degree. We should be the leaders in special education then, right or wrong, if our attorneys who represent us. Personnel issue. So who are they representing, the board or their pockets? I'm asking an honest question here, because this has been an ongoing issue since I've been here. You look at your Title I, we've actually went down in our numbers. Our numbers have decreased tremendously. But yet you had all these absent programs for 3 years, sir, because you said you've only dealt with me for 1 year. I've been dealing with you since 2001 when the kids ingested fentanyl. Oh, I meant weed gummies, my bad. Let's talk about the personnel issues. I've asked for a review, annual review. Does anybody have the annual review yet? You guys have had 30 days. And board policies can be changed per the documentation for education, for the, Title 11, Chapter 11, I think book is what you use. It's on Amazon, I can get it for you. It's for the same book that you guys run through, the laws. You can make and change policies within 30 days. Question is, who reviews your policies? We've had these same policies in place. The fights are not being documented correctly. Why are we having a high turnover rate of teachers right now? We can't keep people in our district now. We've had good teachers who've actually left because of the issues. How many union grievances were there? Because I was never allowed to be spoken upon, and I was here for that meeting. Because you told me I corrected you after I said I would call the county commissioners, and I did, and I'm still calling again. Because, sir, why are we putting money into a field that has asbestos? Why are we representing, where are we going with this with these kids? Where's the integrity to put back into the community? The community that's here, in the personal relationships, I don't want to hear about it from anybody. The fact that I heard about personal relations, about teachers sleeping with other teachers and everything else from my students, is uncalled for. What are you talking about, and where's the respect level? Respect levels. You didn't show up for the last meeting, you didn't answer any of these questions. What's going on with our tutoring services? Because Kelly Services is out, right? So did we find a new replacement for Kelly Services? Did you guys know? We no longer have tutoring. We haven't had tutoring. My daughter has to be brought here, so where are these issues? You wanted to bring up our PSA, that's according to your Title I. Paula's supposed to know too, she has that information, right? So where's the active help with this Title I funding? These programs, these same programs that we've had in, have not been working, so where's the revision? Where is the actual documentation? Without them not being right to know, you should have that very acceptable for a parent. Have the documentation ever given to kids? We don't see. So everything that should be given to a kid should be given to the parents, right? You want the parents? Throw the ball back in the parents' court. Make us aware of what's going on. I've been saying this. The threat was made against you too, Mr. Hartbauer, that email that you sent out. Why do parents have to call up here? As a parent, I had to call to get the information. You should have been proactive, not reactive, especially because the threat was made against you, right? So you should have, and then you weren't even in school the next day. I understand you may have personal business, but then you weren't even here to explain yourself to what? Michael, when you were here, because you said you would have it voted on and be public, and I understand your health was prior, because I was here at 3 o'clock before we left for an IEP meeting. What are we doing about the IEPs? Because we have more kids in IEPs than I've ever seen in any other district. Why are we so far behind in our education program that college students have to go back another year? That's how far we're behind. I'm worried. And you're going to sit up here and give me the same BS. We've had how many meetings that I've asked for board members to sit on? You knew about the gay affiliations. You're the only superintendent who didn't want to be involved. I will call you out. Mr. Miller, don't you work in a prison and you have access to getting the help that we need with the state police? You said you didn't know, but yet I have it on video where it was recorded, and you knew. And it took 8 fights and people getting riled up on Facebook when this could have been here privately. So it was an embarrassment to our children that go here. You're not worried about it. You got your paychecks. Our kids are the ones who live here. Our kids are the ones who are bullied for being in Brownsville, not you. You're the highest paid superintendent. Make it make sense, please. But your district has the lowest, poorest rate for administration. But I don't come with my facts, and I didn't educate myself, right? But yet we're about to send somebody else on another retreat. You may need to fix this, and I want that review, and I want it by the end of next month. Because I've been asking for it for 3 years. Remember that, 3 years. And that's all I got, because you didn't answer anybody's questions. You just threw the same stuff that you've been throwing for the past 2 years. The WIN program has not been working. You knew that. The SAT program has not been working. Your administration cannot respect you because you threatened them. And you can look at me sideways all you want. You know what you're doing is wrong. Be a man of integrity and do what's right for what the kids need. Man up and do your job right. All of you. These kids need people to look up to if they want to make it. I'm tired of trying to clean up these kids. Kids are going to jail over stupid shit. Because you think it's a joke. It ain't. God, I want to tell you something. Because you know what? We have kids who are in jail as murderers right now. Because no one was protecting that. I'm here for those kids.
With the exception of the new board members, I'm going to leave you guys out of this, but I would like to ask everybody else that's been up there. Every time I've been to a meeting, have I, and you also, Mr. Hartbauer, have I not been respectful when I spoke?
Absolutely.
Mr. Hartbauer, have I been respectful when I spoke?
I'll decline comment.
Okay.
Okay.
That's okay. So, I have a question then. Dr. Hartbauer, do you want to make a difference? Do you want to make a change? To better our area, our school district?
Mrs. Christopher,
There's a reason
I'm not going to enter this arena and go down this path.
It's not an arena. It's you avoiding answering.
My-
So I'm going to
my
tell the
job-
story now of why I have disgruntled on my shirt. Because I sent an email almost 3 years ago when my son was being bullied. Dr. Hartbauer sent an email out to the board members, and I have the email stating, don't worry about it. She's a disgruntled parent. Because I wanted to have policies changed. I wanted to keep my son safe and other kids also. So I've come to these meetings and I don't care what he says because he doesn't even have enough respect to make eye contact. And I've been respectful. Guess what? I'm not gonna be respectful. You get what you put out. And you've not been respectful either. So now I'm gonna go to my questions. My questions that were never answered, but in a roundabout way, they were. You called me. Why couldn't you have sent me an email? Because I sent an email to you stating, I don't want any contact from you other than a board meeting or through via email. So I'm still waiting on that email, just so everybody knows. Haven't got it. Got the phone call, but haven't got the email. No, because that's how he covers everything up. So I've been respectful. I think it's awful that you just have the gall to sit there and I decline comment. Okay. I don't know how you sleep at night, sir. Because I was going to give you an opportunity, and that's what my whole goal was tonight, was to ask you if you really wanted change, and then to have you say yes, because that's what I had hoped you would say, so that I could say, I would love to work with you. I just would like an apology. But I see that that day is never going to come, and you're never going to be man enough to do that. So my question is I would just like to know, how many hours a day are the admins supposed to work? Are we going to decline that also?
Administration is salaried employees.
Okay, thank you. And then I would like to know why there was an email sent out last month that any of the admin that did not feel safe didn't have to attend the meeting. Are you guys aware of that? Okay. Well, I have that email too. So you may look at me like I'm a tattooed, just a Brownsville mom, but guess what? I've got friends too. And I just want to say, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, your board members. I really do. And I just hope that we can make a positive change. And Dr. Martin, I feel awful for you because he threw you under the bus last week. And you still have the opportunity to do good for our school district. And I hope you really will. Don't be influenced. You don't have to say anything. Please don't be influenced and just do what's right. Thank you. Good evening. Mr. Hartbar. Thank you. I hope you're feeling better. You weren't at the last meeting. You know, as superintendent, kids should be able to look up to you. They should admire you. You don't need to whisper while I'm talking to you, please. That's ignorant. Kids need role models. We had role models when we were in school. I looked up to my teachers. I looked up to the superintendent, the principals. You know, my kids have been out of school for a long time and I took them out of here and I moved to the mountain. They went to Uniontown. They have their problems too. However, when a retired mom is at home and hears that the superintendent and the principal called the students in the gymnasium to not tell their parents what goes on in school, that's a problem. That is a problem.
And
Am
those
I
facts
wrong?
are not accurate.
Am I wrong?
Yes, those are not accurate.
It came from a student. Is that wrong? Were the students told that? Mr. Hartbar,
I can't answer your question
why not?
because I don't have that information.
We're never going to get anywhere if you can't answer questions. We're never going to be able to move forward off of this subject if you can't answer questions. You know, Mr. Davis, at the board meeting, as he was walking away, said the situation was de minimis. Do any of you know what that word means? I went home and looked it up. Insignificant, not important. We were talking about the issues here at school, and the solicitor said that it's de minimis. That word caught my ear. I knew I hadn't heard it before, and I went home, and the first thing I did after I let the dogs out was look that up. Insignificant? Our children are insignificant? Their safety, the faculty's safety is insignificant? Coming from the solicitor? Maybe we need a new solicitor. Because he defends you.
Keith, I'm going to give you as much respect as you give everybody here. I'm going to call you Keith tonight. Number one, glad to see you're back, and yeah, it's hilarious, huh? So now, that being said, are you familiar with what a civil complaint is? I filed one almost 30 days ago, right? You haven't reached back to me. I have a timestamp, you know, the 25th of April. I wasn't even going to talk tonight, but you failed to get back to me. So since this is a planning session, I want to ask if you plan on doing something about how your employees not only harass me, but slander me as well. So with that being said, you don't have your attorney here tonight. Are you familiar with PA crime code? It's right here, chapter 1021.74. That's how you handle civil complaints. You got 10 more days, sir. You plan on getting back to me? Have you read it? I took a lot of time. I filled you out a really good detailed report. Very good. I had numerous witnesses here. And I'm not false with my word, sir. I heard your $4 million get good. I'm just a grass cut, all right? You're harassing taxpayers. It takes a village, right, to raise a child. I'm part of that village, and everyone's concerned. Why am I here? Who am I? Do you plan on getting back to me or doing something to someone that harassed me? I heard you're going to give them a promotion. Is that what we do, or we're bad behavior in Burlington? You're nothing to look up to, Keith. Now, I'm going to sit down, and I'm not going to take up any more time, and I know you're not going to answer me, so I'll have someone, you got 30 days, you got 10 more. I'll have someone get a hold of you, because you're not going to meet with me back.
This isn't a joke, this is very serious.
I'm
very concerned.
This isn't dad defending son. But something I was going to bring up in a little bit when we go through the agenda. The minutes does not reflect what happened in last month's meeting correctly. Nowhere in there is it said that a district employee shouted from over there over to you
On camera, too.
on camera while you were trying to speak.
It's a recorded event, it'll help my case. If you don't proceed with what happened.
But what I'm saying is he should be getting back to you, and everybody sitting up here saw it, witnessed it.
The president called her out of order, if I can recall. But he wasn't here. His doctor wrote him off sick. He might have been in a neck brace. I don't know. But he was here Friday when I turned in. I seen him go across the street.
But I'm asking, please, I'm sure the meeting was taped, video, audio,
All of it.
that the minutes properly reflect that situation. Because I'm saying this not only on your behalf, but the board's behalf. If we have a district employee screaming across the room at a public meeting at somebody trying to speak, I look at that as a big no-no. Big no-no. That's all I have to say about that.
To add to that, in 2017, an employee spoke out at a meeting. A teacher spoke out in a meeting. Now, that was when you installed, Dr. Hartbauer, the chain of command. That teacher was called that night to be in the office the next morning. That teacher's no longer here, but she said she was off that day, but she had to report Monday. I still remember that 7 years ago, that you employees cannot speak out.
Mr. Bashir, that's not accurate, and it's two different
Of course,
situations.
I understand it's not accurate.
It's not accurate.
It's 7 years ago. But what I'm getting at, what I'm getting at,
They're two completely different situations, Mr. Bashir.
okay, well, all right, well, let's, point of order, Mr. President. Point of order, point of privilege, Mr. President. Point of privilege, Mr. President. Point of privilege, which means I'm speaking, I'm addressing the president. Point of privilege means I continue to speak. And I'm saying to you, if employees cannot speak at a board meeting, or an employee chastises a taxpayer, something other than a letter in their file needs to be done. And that's why I'm on board tonight. And we're gonna discuss that, at least I am.
What's the policy and procedures?
And I also, when you're talking about not being able to speak up and that teacher being written up for speaking up at a board meeting, I've been told by multiple employees in this district that they have been told, do not talk to a board member. If you do, you could jeopardize your employment. And I've been told that. I will not call out any names of people that have talked to me, and it's quite a few.
That,
No, it's true.
well, you don't have to mention names, but that employee was a former principal who's getting his superintendent's papers. All I'm saying is, what's right and right, to get respect, you have to give it. And if I'm not gonna get any respect on this board, for the last week, I've not received anything that's happened in this district with the state police coming here. All of you, did you all get the email?
Yes.
I got it. And I'm asking respectfully, Dr. Harper, why did my button not get pushed that I got that information?
Mr. Bashir, you were sent a remind app, just like everybody else. On that app, it has that you were added to that app. You, from your end, have to initiate that process in a remind app.
I, from
If
my
you are-
end, have to do nothing
The
other
other,
than
the
be
other
informed.
9 people were all able to do that.
I'm not a soldier.
If you are having difficulty with that, we'd be more than glad to help you get that set up.
You have enough employees to send me a text. You're doing that purposely to keep me out of the loop.
That is
That
inaccurate,
will not work.
Mr. That is inaccurate, Mr. Bashir, and you have the ability to call me anytime you want,
If
and
you
you
think that I'm gonna
refuse
play
to
on a
call me.
computer, that I'm gonna play on a computer with buttons how to get on, I'm not gonna do that.
We'd be
You
more than
send me
glad
texts
to help
like
you.
anybody else. There's 9 board members. I'm one of them. I respect to be elected by the people 7 times. I expect to get the emails. I don't care who sends them to me. I don't care if the secretary sends them to me, but I'm not playing on computer. I'm not playing that damn game. I want the same information that the other ones get. However I get it. I'm old school. Forgive me. Marcy.
Okay, can I talk?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine, you're fine. Believe you me, I am an employee. So if I get wrote up tomorrow for doing this, okay, he's filming, whatever. Okay, me and Dr. Hartfire, we have had many, many arguments. But how you people are going about this, I don't think is the right way. It's making everybody look bad, and I get it, you don't care if it makes us look bad. But those aren't solving anything, and it's keep coming back and coming back. Why don't you all just set up a committee and meet once every 2 weeks?
It was supposed to 2 years
I mean, you gotta get it solved some way.
That's true.
Instead of
I
coming
asked
here-
for an ad hoc committee of parents, and it's 2 years later. Could you attest to that? Did it happen?
2022, we discussed having a committee started, and they have yet. Dr. Martin, we met, and Dr. Hartfire, we met. So everything that has been brought up, you have said you were going to do. We've been trying to get this committee, the public involved, because we needed a go-between between the parents and the district, because nobody's trying.
I'm sorry, but Mrs. Marcy has
But I'm just saying.
But she needs to know the facts.
Ma'am,
How do you
ma'am,
know what's
ma'am.
going on in the Delmos?
Wait.
Please.
So moving forward from tonight. Why can't you set up a committee with these parents and everybody sit down and talk about it? Isn't that how you solve problems? Because I've been here last month, the board meeting last month, and tonight. Everybody's just going in circles. And I don't really like to see people be rude to anybody. I mean, I try not to be rude to people, but sometimes it doesn't work well. But, I mean, it does, but this isn't the right way to do it. And the kids will see this. And you were supposed to lead by example.
Problem is he's not, and they're protecting someone.
I'm not protecting anybody. All I'm saying is this isn't right. And my kids have been out of this school district a long time. And I haven't been to a board meeting in years. But this isn't right going about this like this. So I want somebody to give me their word that they're going to work with these parents. A committee, anything.
This has
Thank
been
you,
going
Marcy,
on
and
for
I
3
hear
years.
your words, and we'll look
You
into it.
came to the last couple of meetings, but this has been going on for 3 years.
We are going to get into bills for payment. Board members? Bills for payment.
Page 10. Kelly Services. When are they going bye-byes?
Their contract runs out at the end of the school year.
End of the school year.
And they're going bye-byes?
That's correct.
Okay.
But we never resolved the tutoring issue with the cleanup.
Any board members, more bills? Administrators' reports, bills, any questions you guys have?
Hold on, Ron. Give us time to
You got it.
go through. It comes down through our agenda to cover minutes. And there was a couple things in the minutes that I need explained. Let me get to it.
While we're waiting, what is the length of the contract for Chestnut Ridge?
I believe it was a 5-year contract.
It was a 5-year. I don't know where we are in that process. It may be the end of year 2 right now.
I would think we need to look at another entity because I am not happy with Chestnut Ridge. And I've told their administration that. So I think we should put something out for bid when their contract is open to see who else we can get. Maybe nobody, but I don't like the job they're doing.
Okay, with the minutes, there was a spot in here where I was quoted, let me go back a page. I was quoted as saying something that's toward the middle, I can't even. Yeah, Mr. Dorr, there it is. Mr. Dorr said if any of the board members can remember, there was always a section on the agenda that said executive session. That's true. He believed that it was under bills for payment. Mr. Delarose said he did not remember this. That's true. No, Patty, there was another spot. Here it is. Mrs. Toth said that there are 8 videos, and Mr. Dorsey asked if those videos, did the video start in the middle or start from the beginning? And it was said that it was started in the beginning. I don't know. I can't find it, but I'll go back to stating that I want to ask why it was left, when there was an incident at the meeting with an employee shouting across the floor at somebody, why was that left out of the minutes? No
Jody,
answer.
we have an answer. There's a procedure and she follows from the PSBA in regards to recording minutes. Do you want to speak on that?
I can't hear you, Doc.
There's a procedure from PSBA for executive secretaries how to incorporate the minutes. I'm going to let her go ahead and speak on that.
For PSBA, the only thing I am supposed to record at the board minutes is the vote, the motion, the vote, and what that consumes of, unless I'm asked by someone, because it is not.
Well, I'm asking that you report it properly.
I did report it properly, however.
It's not in here.
Mr. Dorsey, whenever, just like a few minutes ago, if I would have taken everything everybody said, because at that time, the employee was over here and Mr. Dorsey was sitting at his seat. It was during somebody else's comment that he said, I'm only a grass cutter.
Oh, he did say that after somebody yelled across and said, you are not a resident of Brownsville area. He said, yes, I am.
I call myself a grass cutter.
And he says, I'm just a grass cutter, which he said again today.
Yeah, I even put myself down in the firm.
But when you're saying, Dr. Hartbauer, that there's a procedure of putting things in here, I agree that some of the things you can gloss over a little bit, but like I've said in previous meetings, if it's not in the minutes, then it never happened. So that looks real convenient to leave it out of the meeting or out of the minutes. It never happened.
I got a civil complaint timestamp though, the 25th of April, don't worry, Dad. And a big statement, because I know how to fill those out prior on.
Mr. Dorsey, we have that on video. If you want to stop in and see the video, we can't post it online.
I was here.
I was,
There was no vulgarity that we couldn't post it online, but at that time, when she yelled back over at him, he was sitting in his seat.
He was standing at the podium.
I was trying to pull my ID out of my pocket.
He was at the
I
podium.
was trying to protect him. I
Wait
realized
a
he was
minute.
out of order.
You're saying no. Wait a minute.
The first time she came out.
Then maybe I went blind and I went crazy, but he was standing at the podium because I addressed over toward the employee when that happened.
I didn't even call her by name, I just said unemployed, and I touched her heart, but she said, yeah, you guys are all crazy. Delusional. Only we know what's real.
Mr. President, are we asking questions about board reports at this time?
Are we doing bills for payment still?
Yeah, because I,
Oh, you got one. Let's go.
Are we asking questions about board reports now? Because I have a question about a board report.
Yeah, let him go, then I'll go.
Go ahead.
Okay, so on the cyber education from last month to this month, it appears that we now have increased 12 from last month for the out-of-district charter or cyber charter, and in-house, we've lost 8. I'm just kind of curious if we have an explanation about why our cyber charter numbers went up such a big jump this month.
I had the same question, the first one. Is Ross.
Well, that's a total of 20 students if you put them both together. We've lost in 1 month 20 students out of our classroom to either our own cyber or an out of placement. Last month I asked for our district to do a survey as to why these people are leaving our district and it to be presented at the May meeting. Have we started on that?
Yes, and I have a brief update that I can give you in exec session.
Okay, because if we lost 20 people, I'd like to know why. Is it because of the fights? What's the reason causing 20 students in 1 month to leave?
We can get the exact results for that.
And some of those students were brought back to the school off of the cyber. So not all of them left, but I will look in because Mr. Gammon did give me a call today. He wasn't going to be here. I'll re-update all the out of district cyber with the current bills and look at the numbers, and so we can have a true comparison of numbers that are actually out of district. Because there could be some discrepancies on the reports, but I know that they were working and going through grades, so some of those students weren't doing well online, were brought back to school, so it looks like they left cyber, but they're actually back in our school, but we did have ones go to outside districts that will look into those.
Mike, you're saying there were students that left this month, but changed their mind and came back this month?
I mean, there was ones on it, they didn't join and then come back, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Per the reports, March report compared to April report. Out of school in March, we had 118 students out in other placements. This month, now we have 130. So
Yeah,
that's
so
like
12,
Wallace was saying, that's 12.
Yeah, so I'll look at that 12 and I'll double check those numbers, make sure that everything matches up perfect to how the bills are, and give that report to the board.
Hey, Mike, now, it was in one of the, I think, special education, monthly reports. Are those numbers reflecting, like, if the special education, the ones that are out are felon also? Are we bringing those ones back, or are we? Yeah, that would be. Because I seen there was it says, we met with special education teachers to discuss the procedures of calling home special education students that are failing cyber. Are we trying to bring those kids back in, or is there a plan to get them back up to not felon?
So the special education students that are on cyber, that are still Brownsville,
Yeah.
I'm constantly in contact with the case managers to make sure that, you know, if the student needs additional supports, that we work with them, you know, during like the teacher's resource period. It is my suggestion to special education students that aren't doing well, I do try to have those conversations with the parents about them being potentially more successful in the classroom. So
We haven't got
as far as
none of those kids came back because of that, though, right? They're still on cyber most of them.
Correct.
I would object to that information being executive session that we're speaking about. I think.
No, we can talk about the numbers, Mr. Bashir. There are some legal things that, with some of them that had to go off.
The legal part I understand, but the reasoning, I don't think that that's executive session material. I believe that the public should be able to see what reasons why.
So where we are in this process now, the administrators have given me all the students who are placed outside. The secretaries were making phone calls to determine the reasons why. We're not completely done with that, but we're a good portion of the way done with that.
Thank you. I got.
Yeah, I got it. Go ahead.
And this is, it is a financial question, but Mike, I know you're leaving, but I want to thank you for your time.
Yes, Mike.
You have probably been the best business manager. In my 28 years here, you are probably and are the best business manager we ever had. And transportation-wise, you never hesitated to get a question and answer. And I want to commend you and thank you, and I wish you well in your new endeavor. But I want to commend you for the job well done.
Thank you.
Back to my question, it really isn't directed to you. There's a bill here for $11,000 from Thrill Share Media subscription. What is that?
That is the website.
That's a website.
Yes, so
That's
it
our-
does
yeah,
the app,
district
the
website.
website. That was when we updated it. That was all approved prior, so it was like I believe it was a 3-year.
Yeah, it's 3 of a 5-year contract.
Yeah, so this is, I believe, year 2 of that payment.
Okay. It says year 3 of 5.
Oh, year 3 of 5?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know which number it is on here, but that's what that is, so that's broken out over there. That did updated our website. It made it fall under the ADA compliance, which we weren't with our old site license. This also gave us the app that we have and the potential of posting out to the social medias.
Well, thank you.
I got one on page 6 for bills. It's, weight room supplies. What is that? And then also, it's like for Jerry also. The broken equipment. What are we doing with that? And just to start there. What is the weight room supplies? What does that entail? And then as far as the broken equipment, what have we done with that?
The equipment, yeah, the equipment gets refurbished every year. There's a company that comes in and will do that. We'll have to call them again if that has not been done. We'll have to check into that.
There is a couple pieces of equipment that are broke, but they are completely out of service. They can't be refurbished, they can't be done, like, nothing can be done with them.
Do we have to
are
replace
working
any of
on-
that?
Yeah, we're looking to get those out. I've already had initial discussions with, Mr. Rouse, looking for some replacement equipment. We're starting to put a plan together that would be roughly maybe a 5-year plan of slowly going through and picking out pieces to upgrade that. This initial purchase, I apologize, I'll have to get that back to you. I don't remember exactly what was in this purchase for the supplies, but they were like needed supplies that they felt they needed at this point, and we started like with the budget to have it ready for next year to start that plan of upgrading that lifting facility.
Thanks, Mike. And then going back to the first thing,
Mike.
oh, go ahead.
Mike. Yeah, just kind of on that same line there, Terry. I think one of the issues was that we were trying to kind of understand that legally that you would get rid of real property. I know the auction is a method, but at the end of the day, we kind of could use a couple dumpsters and chuck about half this stuff in those dumpsters. But there's still some legal requirements for real property that you've got to account for. And I just wondered, Mike, if you made any progress with that?
Yeah.
I think that's part of the solution, literally, Terry, is just throwing that crap in the dumpster, but we
Okay.
gotta make the books
Yeah,
up.
so since these pieces are completely broke and can't be rebuilt, we're trying to find out what legally we have to go through on that process to get rid of them, if we're allowed to throw it out. It still probably has to be the board voting on it to allow us, since it is taxpayer money that was used to purchase these. But we're double checking what the ruling is when it's something that can not be repaired, replaced. So we are looking into that, and I know the board voted that we can do an auction for the items. So
why I asked.
we've been looking into that. I know that Mrs. Keeler was looking at getting that moving, and I didn't get a chance to talk to her again about like how that process was moving forward, but I know they were working on getting all the items together for that.
Thanks, Mike. I was looking on, I think it's under personnel, under the, middle school, it seems we need a math teacher. Are we looking to hire a math teacher? Are we missing a math teacher?
Right, we are down one math teacher. We do have a teacher that was out this year, and we are in the process of finishing up master schedule, so we know exactly the numbers that we'll need in each building.
Okay, is that something should we discuss in executive session?
We can, all right, we can do that.
The last one's just for Jerry. Jerry, this, which you and Ross probably already had this, this is the amount for the lighting down Redstone? Okay. Yeah, that's the poles and everything? That's everything?
Mike's on it, I think. Mike, you want to brief him up? Or we want to wait till we get to it?
You can say
That's one thing.
it is a line item under athletics, if we wanna wait till we get there, or if you want me to speak on it now, I can gladly speak on it.
Thanks.
Mike, question. Does the BEA, the SEIU have the same health care as administration?
They do.
They have the same numbers, they pay the same price?
They actually pay less than administration.
Okay. Thank you.
I saw in one report that we recently had staff training on suicide prevention. Was that what it was? And was it supposed to be a 240-hour training?
It was a 4-hour training, and it's mandated by the state, and our cycle was up, so it has to be completed by June 30th of this
Okay.
year.
The question I have on that, and this is coming from teachers contacting me. In that 4-hour session, did we do a session with 2 hours of material? And what I'm told, it was just one of those, and I've had them before myself, like from University of Pittsburgh, where they read off a little bit of stuff, and then you take a little quiz, then there's some more stuff, you take a little quiz. And what usually happens is whoever's doing it just doesn't pay attention, because you can't go to the next block until a certain amount of time goes up. So you're sitting there doing a lesson plan, or you're doing something else. But did we do like 2 hours, like 120 hours, and then come back and do the same material as a 60-minute and 60-minute block?
I do know that Dr. Martin met with the BEA president. They went over the process in regards to the time that needed to be allocated. And that day was set up based on those conversations. So
Was it
Dr.
the
Martin, I
same
don't know if you
material?
can answer that more specifically.
It was redundant, and I talked with BEA, other teachers, looked at it myself, and yes, it was redundant. I also talked to the IU. It was not the same. One was a 120-minute session, a 60-minute, and a 67-minute session. I talked to the IU, and that is the exact training that they use as well. I did double check it with them because I felt the same way as did
Just
your
because
education.
the IU uses that training doesn't mean we need to do it. I mean, if we are seriously taking suicide as a problem in our area, then with all this ESSER money we have, why didn't we bring an expert in to give a real training? I mean, this kind of sounds like it was a total waste of any money we spent on this training. If it was redundant, same thing over. And this is coming from the teachers. So obviously they couldn't have learned very much from it. I had Mr. Hamilton, as soon as I find it, and then Mr. Boyd I have. Mr. Hamilton, you said Pennsylvania State Police did a vulnerability assessment in our buildings. Was there a report? Do we know what the results were?
No, they haven't completed the report yet.
Will we get that?
We will.
Great. Okay. Now, Mr. Boyd, hold on here. I am finding these ones. You said in your report there was a spot where we're going to put some new cameras in. Was that something we already approved, or do we need to put a motion on the agenda to do that? It was through a grant.
Oh, yeah, okay, so then,
Through the grant.
it will be board approved when we go to do that.
Okay.
We'll bring the reports, but yeah, that was the.
As part of the grant.
It still has to be,
Okay.
yeah, it's through the PCCD safety grant that we all wrote, and was awarded. So it was for cameras, so that's what it's
Right.
allocated for. It still will come as a motion to the board once we have the true cost of the cameras.
Okay.
You
So
will
we
have that.
taking bids on those? What are we doing?
Yeah, well, we went through the whole bid process when we did those outside cameras.
Right.
Because of CoStarz and PEPM pricing, this company does fall under that. It was after we did all the quotes, we know this is the company that we really like and would like to stay with. So we'd really try to buy them through there. We would bring that to the board.
So they're
If the
pretty
board-
much, even though this isn't the actual bid, but we've bid through them and they came in and did.
They were the lowest bidder when we did
Yeah.
all the outside cameras, and they fit what we like the most of all the different options that were out there. So we would like to stay with that camera company, and that's what we'll bring. If the board
Okay.
chooses to vote it down, then we could go
Okay.
other avenues at that point.
And then the end of your report, you said they're installing yet another program called Sentinel-1. And this is something that sounds, I don't know, probably need to explain to me a little better because it's for emails. And my question on this, once every teacher's email is going to be watched, who is watching it, and who has access to it. I mean, administrators?
What it was designed for was like cybersecurity. So in case like it becomes compromised and like the computer gets something installed on it, like the teacher's computer, it's connected to our network, so it doesn't. What it's really designed
So the actual program will be doing the monitoring to make sure nothing comes in?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if an email is hacked, it'll stop it at that point and from it spreading across the whole network and shutting everything down.
Yeah, when I first read that, I was worried that,
Yeah, there's some
teachers' emails were gonna be read.
when it comes to cybersecurity, it's things they put in place that you need to have in place, or you can't even get cyber insurance. So the double authorization for emails, having some type of software that can block hackers from spreading through networks. Those are all things that insurance companies are now making you have in place, or they won't even offer you cyber insurance.
The sad part about that is that a lot of these hackers out there, they still get through. Because where I work, we have, like you said, all these programs to stop all that. And I swear to God, somehow an email gets through at least once a week from some guy named Mike wanting to buy my house. How they're doing it, I don't know, but it gets through. I delete it, I try to.
They're definitely getting good at it, because we definitely get emails even at the business office acting like a teacher or anyone wanting to change their routing numbers on their bank accounts.
They can spoof you.
Yeah. So that's why we do everything in person.
I had one.
Mr. Boyd, I have a question for you. Who all has access, with all the new cameras that's been put in, who all has access to them? Security? Just security?
I have access to it also.
Yeah,
Security has access to it?
he does too.
Okay.
Who has the final say whether film or tape gets erased?
Well,
Is there a protocol to go through if you want to get rid of it?
the old system, I think, is like 14 days, right?
I think it stores it as long as there's capacity.
Yeah, as long as they're, so it automatically writes over. So if there is an incident, as long as we're notified and Mr. Boyd's notified, we will burn that onto a disk. But if someone comes back a month later and requests that information, there could be a chance that it already wrote over itself. But that's why we will download and keep a file as long as we're notified at the time.
So with the new cameras that you got, if there's an incident that takes place, you should be able to detect on what is going on, right? Not that a camera didn't catch it or it's not angled that way.
The new cameras are really outside at this point. They're just on the outside perimeter. They did tier levels of security that the state put out, tier 1 security. You couldn't get any funding for anything as long as you had any of those fields all checked off. One of the fields we didn't have checked off was that every exit and blind spots around all the building has to be covered with cameras. So we had to take our first set of money to get all blind spots. So we did all outside cameras around the high school, middle school, and outside the elementary. I think we had enough money to do maybe one or two in the elementary with the new cameras, and maybe 1 or 2 in the high school. I believe we did cafeteria. So yes, those cameras are a better quality, easier to see exactly what's going on, and that's our goal with this safety money, is to start upgrading the rest of the cameras as these grants come through.
One more question, Mr. President. Actually, Dr. Hartbauer, I don't think it's my place to say, but I want to thank the Borough of Brownsville for the donation of the police car. And I think it should come from your office, sent to the borough, thanking them for the police car. And Director Gammon and Terry Clark, thank you for your input in knowing that that's needed, and we will make use of that. But for those out there, the borough has donated a police car to us that we're sending to the VOTEC to get painted and worked on, and it will be ready shortly. Thank you.
All right, I just have one. I don't know if this goes to the principals or Keith, but in the reports I've been looking at in the past few months, are we keeping up with the curriculum for our music programs K through 12?
Dr. Martin, you want to speak with that in regards to music? The music curriculum.
Are we looking to, you want to
Are
revamp
we
it?
keeping up
Yes.
with the curriculum
Yes.
standards that we have from K through 12? And are there some areas that we need to assist in as a board, help?
I think that's a Mrs. Spargnoldi question for sure, to sit down and have that conversation with her and bring it back to the board. If there are gaps and needs that she has, none of which have been expressed to me, maybe our building leaders have that information.
That's what I was
So,
asking.
Mr. Clark, also if it helps, the curriculum is on a cycle, so that they come at different times, so whether it might be the science department, it might be the math department, it might be the electives, so they're on that cycle. I don't know exactly where they are, music is on that cycle, but we can have those conversations with her if there's a need.
All right. Yeah, I would like that.
Education? Yes. I'm gonna defer this whole section to Dr. Hartbauer. I know nothing about any of these things that are listed. Usually, I get a call on a Friday, and whatever's gonna be put on the agenda is discussed. Well, that just didn't happen. So, I have no clue about any of this, A, B, C, D, and E. Once again, oh yeah, there's two on the other side. So, once again, chairman by name only, I have no idea about any of this, so Dr. Hartbauer, you or somebody can explain everything.
Sure. The New Directions agreement is the annual agreement that we do in case we would need it. It's out of need right now. There isn't a need, but if we would need it during the school year, that's what that's for. Letter B, discuss approving a 3-year quote for Labster Inc. The science department came to us and would like us to look into this program for their labs. Dr. Martin was involved with the company, and the proposal to do this for a 3-year quote, paid with ESSER money.
What is this gonna do?
This helps with the science labs, the students with their labs. I believe it's a little bit of an online program.
It's a virtual labs program, and then it supplements our hands-on labs to increase student engagement. The educators brought it to the attention of the high school building leader, and then from there, we researched it. Other educators utilized, she had a free trial, and other educators utilized it, and they really enjoyed it, and so did the children.
Did any of our science teachers have the opportunity to look into this and give you any type of
It came from
response?
them. They brought it to me.
They were the ones that found it?
Yeah, they were.
Okay, and then item A, going back to that, with New Directions. Is there anyone else, like Mr. Bashir asked, that supplies these services in our area? Or are we stuck with Chestnut Ridge / New Directions?
I believe the way it works, anybody that's in the area will assign an agreement with, that way we have that versatility. But to offhand to tell you who else, those specific criteria, I don't have that right now, and Dr. Nicholson and I can get that for you.
Good, okay, thanks. Steve?
So, can I ask a question so I understand it? So what you're saying, Keith, is that this is just an agreement that allows us to use Chestnut Ridge, but it doesn't require us to use them, and it doesn't require us to pay them anything unless we choose to use them, but we can look at other things.
That is correct, yes.
That's true. Perfect. Okay, that's great.
Then if we do not want to tie ourselves specifically into them all the time, shouldn't we try to sign any type of an agreement just in case we need to use them instead? So should we be looking for another organization that does the same type of,
And we can, Mr. Dorsey.
Partial program.
Yeah, the problem is right now, because of the mental health situation, a lot of these spots are filled and students are not leaving those spots.
Right.
So when other districts are trying to put students in, there are no openings. So we need to try to get as many areas as we can.
And Mr. Dorsey, we sign agreements with like all the out-of-district placements. That way, we have the option when it comes time for a student needing place in different out-of-placement. Just gives everyone the option. So we sign these agreements with every one of them, and it just opens it up for who has seats at that time when we're looking.
Middleburg School District also has a partial program. That's what New Directions is. It's a partial program.
Right.
We have also sent, students to that Ward School District. Currently, we don't have any students there, but if the need would arise, we can always, like, add that if it time.
Okay.
Okay, letter C, the Wilson language training costs. This is through the elementary. Again, Dr. Martin was in contact with the elementary teachers and proposed this quote. It's expensive, but it's highly recommended, and it's a highly successful program. Any more on that, Dr. Martin?
It's all accuracy for decoding and spelling and handwriting. It is a supplemental program that will supplement the reading program that's in place that is due for renewal within the next 2 years. There's a weak phonetic component to that program. So until it's updated, this will be a nice supplemental for our students. And we have a specialist from the IU who highly recommended it as well. And she's going to be part of it along with our kid writing program to really drive the literacy initiative at the elementary level.
And this is $87,000?
It is.
I mean, is this something our teachers can do? Because it seems like all of a sudden we're spending big money on all of these programs. We're even spending money on programs to monitor programs. Are we getting to the point where we're going to do away with our teachers because everything's going to be online and programs?
This is hands-on. This is not all online. This is hands-on.
My concern, Mr. Dorsey, is it's ESSER's money, and that's free government money, so to speak. And it's going to run out next June. What bothers me is those students who are in this sector right now, they get all the benefits for that. 2 years from now, these students aren't going to have this. And I know we got to spend $12 million, but somebody who's in first grade will enjoy this first and second grade, but third and fourth grade, they won't have half the program to be involved.
Is this program a year, then we have to pay more every year?
Well, it would be.
Or is this a one-time?
No, it is not. There are manipulatives and items that come with this. It's all hands-on for the kids. But the goal is that when the Wonders program updates in 2 years and we buy our ELA series for the elementary, there won't be a need for this because it has a strong phonetic component that does not exist right
So
now.
then why are we going to waste $87,000?
They don't have anything in the meantime.
Yeah, thank you. Hold on to your money. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Isn't this something that teachers can do?
I will throw out, we can't hold on to the money. If we don't use the money, it goes back to the government, so it's either use it or lose it. So I'll throw it out.
Say that, but can't we spend the money on something better?
Honestly, however anyone wants to spend it, but we can't just let it sit. We can't just let it sit.
I know we got to give it back.
Everything's short term.
Teachers educate. Buildings don't educate. Teachers educate. Can we spend that money somewhere on teachers to help them? I mean, their take-home pay is
Hire an
not great.
elementary band music teacher.
And I know we got to give the money back, but can't we spend it on teachers? They're the ones with the kids.
Again, we have to, with the ESSER money, we have to make sure that there's that criteria that we follow. Okay? There's a criteria that they tell us that we can spend the money on.
No, you're right, Dr. Hartman. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. However,
Letter D.
I am old school, and this
Any
money.
more on the Wilson language trainer?
Dr. Hartman, I think
Yeah.
there have got to be other ways, some ways that the teachers help them teach.
Letter D. Yeah, these are directly to impact the kids. So, letter D.
I understand my point, Dr.
Absolutely.
It doesn't directly impact the kids.
Right.
But for so long.
Right.
Then those other kids they're not subject to getting this kind of treatment.
I think what Dr. Mark is also saying
What
is
she
part-
did say, Rocky, is the new program that we're gonna be bringing in will have this, and we won't need that program anymore.
And how much are we spending on this so-called new program?
It's going to
We
be
got
our-
$87,000.
It will be our
It's gonna go
ELA series, and that will be purchased before ESSER runs out in hopes. that
How much is that going to cost?
I think we all know. These companies are out there with their checkbooks just waiting for us to start filling it out.
And the Wilson's Foundation.
No, I was just saying, Dr. Hartfire, that these companies, they know every school district got ESSER money, so they're out there like this, just give us we'll take care of this, and then.
Well, that's part of it too. The HVACs, they quadrupled in price within the first month after the ESSER money came out. So the letter D, discuss the fusion, it should be Imagine Learning, a cyber platform for high school at a cost of $16,400. This will allow us to have more electives for our high school students on the cyber end of things, and also for kids who maybe that are in school face-to-face, we'll give them electives as well. So it's not to replace any teachers that are on those positions. These are electives above and beyond. A lot of them, financial literacy, daily, how to balance a checkbook, all those types of things, other electives, Chinese, anything along that line that they might want to take, that they don't have the opportunity now in our district.
So this is not replacing our cyber program?
No, we will still use our cyber program. Correct.
Mr. Dorsey, are you on board with this one?
I'm not very on board with C or D.
C or D?
Letter D.
Is that because of, would that be because of we don't have information? I'm sorry.
Enroll in, say, German 1, for example, during the school day, or is that something extra? I mean, they do this on their own? Like the mechanics of how.
I'm not sure I'm hearing you correctly, Mr. Gammon, but
He's saying this program, is it something they do in school or on their own at home?
the goal is to try to create a schedule for the child that if a child has period 1, 2, and 3 and has a free period, if they wanted to take an elective, they could take an elective. That'd be one. They could also take this above and beyond their workload. We have a lot of students, high achieving students, that want to take extra coursework afterwards to gain credits and so forth. That would be an option as well.
So I have a question about this. So if they wanted to take an elective, are they, like, do you have to use an IU asset to do this? Or like an IU laptop or a Chromebook or?
We used to have to do that. Now with the new technology, they can use their own.
They can use their own?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, with this cyber, is this outsourcing work for teachers?
This is above and beyond, past more for a student than what we have to offer. Because we only have so many teachers, they can only teach so many classes. This is above and beyond.
Is it? I mean, you're sitting right there, union, is it?
Yes, it is.
It's outsourcing?
Yes.
All right.
We had electives that were closed and eliminated. So now this is replacing, if this is electives, this is replacing the teachers. I'll use Sandy Rummel, for example. When Sandy Rummel was at the high school, she taught 7 different electives. Her position was closed, those electives went away. So at the middle school, Carol Wilson taught home ec, her position was closed. Cody Corval taught tech, his position was closed. So those are all electives that our teachers taught.
Okay.
And now those classes are gone, so now they're going to be outsourcing for this to cover the electives that we have, that we don't have in the school.
Well, isn't that agreeable?
Yes.
I was just gonna ask. So,
grievance?
yeah, I was just gonna
Yes.
ask, does that violate the teacher contract?
So but that's not,
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to cause no ruckus, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Those are good questions.
no,
Oh, I know it's a good question, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to.
they are. In your packet, there's a list, and I don't have that here in front
What's
of
the
me.
matter?
If it's scheduled school, we can teach outside of our workday for extra because we're doing it right now.
Yes, I know
Correct.
that, correct, I know that, yes, that's why I'm asking you.
And
Okay.
we're not looking at those classes that it's an extra Spanish class or it's an extra class that we've already taught. We're looking for those classes that are above and beyond that maybe a child doesn't have an opportunity to take in our school district. Or that somebody might not be certified.
I can't be.
It might be in an area that's
any
not certified.
opportunities away from our teachers. I would be for that.
That's fine.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm not gonna take opportunities away from the very
Just,
people.
so from my view, and I think the price is $16,000, and it's basically a enterprise license agreement, and they're charging us per student, where it sounds to me what we're looking for is some things that like really are above and beyond, things that our staff has not taught. And like I said, German 1 would be an example. We don't teach German. Kid wants German. Maybe we want to offer that, but I think the $16,000 enterprise license agreement is too much, and we would work with the students, or we kind of approve it on a, we buy one license for one student and not spend all of it on, an enterprise license and maybe only have 2 kids enrolled, and then, plus the other stuff.
No, that's point well taken, Mr. Gammon, thank you.
Well, you said that if there's a child with free period, he could do this during the free period. Where's he gonna do it?
They're in the process of working that out right now in the master schedule. We're looking at ways to revamp our high school library so there would be an opportunity for kids to do that.
So
whether
we're
that be-
doing away with another library.
No, we are looking to make that more of an instructional area for our kids.
Doctor, once again, it looks like we're putting the cart before the horse. You want me to vote on something that we don't have the information. I can't strap taxpayers with more money, assessor's money. So.
That's fine, Mr. Bashir.
But that's just how I feel. I mean, Thursday night, I'm not gonna change my vote, but, and
Letter F is to discuss the high school participating in the RAND. I missed E. Letter E, updating all the student handbooks. You have that on C21 in your reports for child find, that we have to have that in our handbooks. So that verbiage that you see on C21 will be placed into the student handbooks.
Letter F, the high school discussed participating in the RAND Education and Labor Survey.
I apologize, letter E, I apologize. Just, can we see what the update to the handbook is gonna be? I got the document, the 3-page document, it was a good read, it was a long read, but if we could see what the actual verbiage that's gonna go in the handbook would be, that would help me a lot.
Yes, we can get that, we'll email that out tomorrow morning. Yes, sir. I can hear very good. Thanks. Okay, letter F, discuss the high school participating in the RAND Education and Labor Survey Study. This is through Imagine Purpose. We use Imagine Purpose now in our RSS program for our kids, for the restorative practice piece, that to give them understanding of what they did, how to correct those behaviors, and so forth. By participating in this, they are willing to give us 3 years of professional development for our teachers, and also 3 years free for this program. I ran this by, this particular is for 9th and 10th grade students. I ran this by Dr. Mahalik just because it's his area of expertise, to make sure that everything seems to be kosher from his end, and he feels it is as well.
Yeah. Dr. Harper, I think that's very good that you ran that past Mr. Mahalik and not me as chairman of the committee. Thank you. There you
Letter
go.
G, discuss approving the professional development plan for Summer Teaching Academy, SWYE 360. This is where they'll come in and they'll train our staff based on the software and the programs that we were using at a high rate, so that they understand that if these programs are using and are being used to produce the high academic growth that we want.
question, who's in charge of seeing that all these plans are put in place?
The administration.
Minus the principals?
The principals are involved as well.
I mean, okay.
All right, personnel,
See what they are now.
I discussed accepting the letter of resignation from Rebecca Monk, paraeducator, effective March 22nd, 2024.
Was that job posted?
Is the job posted?
Jody, I don't believe that has been posted yet, is that correct? No. Oh, there's discussion regarding that in the exec session later down on the agenda.
All right, B, discuss accepting the letter of resignation from Mike Llewellyn, business manager and transportation director, effective June 30th, 2024. Thank you, Mike. C, discuss accepting the letter of retirement from Scott Roebuck in accordance with the BEA contract, effective the last day of the second semester. I'd like to thank Mr. Roebuck. He worked for me for years, and Scott did a very, very good job. D, discuss accepting a letter of resignation from Crystal Coffey, custodian, effective March 22nd, 2024.
Was that job posted?
It will be posted.
It will be? Was
Yeah.
Kenny Ryan's job posted?
No, it'll be, both of them will be posted at the same time. We have 30
Okay, I
days
know
to
there's
post.
there's a time limit.
Yeah, we have 30 days.
Even if you can eliminate and create any time you want.
Both
Anything
will-
you keep. Go
Both
ahead.
will be posted.
Okay, thank you.
All right, E, discuss approving the request from Elizabeth George for an unpaid leave for the 2024-2025 school year. F, discuss adding the following names to the support staff: Emma Fusselman. G, discuss approving John Detweiler to serve as a school board director from the Eastern Region, the trustees of the Allegheny County Schools Health Insurance Curriculum. I know we voted on this last month, but there was a tie. So they want us to vote again for those people. He's from our area, the other one's from, I think, somewhere in the state, middle of the state. So they're asking us to vote for him over here on this one. G, H, discuss the district administration participating in the Forge Future National Summit, May 8th and 9th, 2024, no cost to the district.
Who, it says administration.
Yes, correct. This is administration, and the board members would like to attend, and they're welcome as well. This is a national and international event that the Western Pennsylvania Alliance, 32 schools have been asked to participate in as people come across the country and from other countries as well to the Pittsburgh region to see some of the things that are being done within the area with regards to education.
And where is this?
It's it's downtown Pittsburgh.
August Wilson Center.
August Wilson Center. Thank you.
Okay.
Comment.
Yeah, so
It always-
administration, can we define what that is? Like, who specifically are we talking about? What's going on this?
On which one?
All principals, all administration.
H, who's all going?
Right. That could be fluid. We will open that if somebody wants to go to that with us. We
But is
will
there a
open that.
limit? What if
There
9
will-
board
there-
members wanted to go and all the administrators?
There is a limit, so we would have to put something out. If you're interested in going, you feel free to contact me.
My question is this, it always says no cost to the district. Okay, they're paying, but when our people leave the district, someone got to replace them. And we got to pay them. So it is a cost to the district, unless I'm not looking at, it always says no cost to district. We're going to Florida, we're going to Arkansas, we're going here.
Yeah, we don't replace the administrators. If it's a teacher, we have to replace with a sub, but we don't replace the administrator if they go out.
But what I'm saying is, you're not in the district. We're paying administrators to be in the district. And I understand to go on conferences once in a while. My gosh, I've never seen us go so many places in 1 year.
This is not a conference, Mr. Bashir. This is more of a symposium, more of a regional event that they're doing to promote education with what's going on in Western PA.
And I understand, Dr. Harper, and I think the question is, I think Mr. Dorsey asked it, we'd like to know who goes. Sure. We're voting on something, we don't know who's going.
Yeah, if there's a limit on people being allowed to go, do we have a limit? Let's go to, say, last week. There was a day where we had a huge amount of teachers out. Is there a limit or a time that we could say, no, you cannot have that day off because we have too many teachers out, or too many custodians, or too many administrators?
The only thing that we have is if it's within personal days, and that's seniority by when they put that in.
Yeah.
So if a certain percentage, I can't remember what that is off the top of my head. If we're over that percentage, then yes, we can say no.
Then
We
we can
can't.
say no.
Correct. But we can't control if people are out for sick reasons.
I agree, but I hate seeing our kids shoved into the gym.
Sure.
We're talking about
Absolutely.
discipline, we're talking about fights in our district. That's a fight just waiting to happen. We shove them into the gym, shove them into the auditorium. And I know it's horrible trying to get subs. We can't get subs. But,
Nobody can.
has to be a limit to how many can take off.
They lose education too with that.
Yeah, Rick.
All right. I, J, the executive session. K, discuss creating an instructional literacy coach.
Again, this was brought up by the elementary teachers on numerous occasions in our district council, the need for literacy coach in our elementary. Dr. Costable has been working with them and trying to put together a plan. Her and Dr. Martin both went and visited the school and believe that we can absorb this without having to create a new position in regards to financial reasons, absorb this with a teacher that has those credentials and has the ability to teach that.
What are the qualifications needed for this?
Dr. Costable, can you talk a little bit about qualifications? for the literacy?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe I did put it on the proposal, looking for someone with a reading specialist certification, seasoned elementary teacher, someone who can take a look at data, be able to delegate it, work with our teachers, kind of coach them, give them some different construction ideas. We have a lot of qualified people in elementary school, particularly that can go between six. And I think it would be like buy-in as someone in the staff to be
So,
able to.
this will be adding a teacher, but it will be from our current staff.
Yes.
Are we at staffing limits where it's hurting instruction if we take away teachers? Because I know we've had certain things we have advertised for and cannot find teachers to fill positions.
Correct, and those are conversations that we've had with the elementary administration regarding staffing and numbers of enrollment and so forth. And the early indications, we believe that we can make this work.
So this will get posted and then it will be
Because it's a instructional literacy coach, there are certain criteria that they have to have in
But
regarding.
I'm just saying, it'll go through the teachers union?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I couldn't hear very well, but with the qualifications, do they have to be a certified teacher?
Yes.
Yes.
So then it should go through the union.
That's what he said.
It will go through.
It will go through the union, but they have to have those particular
Okay.
credentials to be able to teach that.
All right, L&M, we'll do those in executive session.
I had the question on that, Rick.
Which one, Mark?
Why is there a reason for executive session on those two items? I mean, I'm going to object.
Personnel names.
For personnel reasons.
Right.
So without naming names, could it be discussed? Or we just, I mean, I'm not gonna go against it, I'm just questioning the point of those two items.
Well, L&M,
Well, not L and M, I'm talking about I and J.
I and J.
Right.
And L is a big one because if we're talking about 2 part-time security, I thought we were under the understanding this is 2 full-time positions and we're gonna hire part-time security. Because the 2 people that are already here, in my opinion, board members, should be hired as full-time with benefits. We got lots of money. It's the safety of our children, our students, and faculty.
And we're gonna discuss the reasoning behind that in the meeting that Mr. Llewellyn and Mr. Hamilton and I had regarding these positions in that executive session.
So would you agree that we're short-staffed on security? Or not?
I would agree that we need to have discussion on this and how we can best fit that, and I think we need to get the board's input and some of the things that need to be discussed.
Well, I want board input, I do.
Absolutely.
And I know there's a financial cost to this, but what cost is it for 2 additional security officers that would be full-time? We know we can't even have anybody outside half the time because they run the metal detectors. Part-timers, who the hell wants to come here part-time?
Right.
I'm not pushing, I don't even know.
You go make more
I
money.
just know they're both doing a good job and they should be rewarded with full-time work. And that's security. That's where I'm gonna come back. Same thing when we go in executive session. That's where I'm at. I don't know how the board feels. If it gets voted down, then it does. But that's how I feel. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. Patty?
Discuss approving the 2022-2023 financial audit report from Zelenkowski and Axelrod LLC. And of course, we were provided the attachments.
Ross?
Yes, sir. So, item A, discuss the proposal from PEMCO for the outdoor classroom seating in the courtyard for $20,272 with ESSER money. You guys got pictures of that in there. I think that's a pretty good deal. Kind of look nice out there for that courtyard. Discuss HVAC and redstone lighting. So, I'll talk to HVAC real quick, and you guys can see it on your report from Jerry, but the chiller's on site. They're going to try to bring that up on April 24th and 25th. I think what's significant here, you guys noticed it on your report at the bottom, that basically we got a lot of old pipes in these schools, and what Jerry's going to do is basically have that system filled for the summer months here with water, that we can see if there's any leaks, any valves, anything that needs adjusted. And if we have leaks and stuff, we're leaking water, not antifreeze, which is good. And then adjust and fix those leaks, and then come in the fall, drain the system, and then pump it full of antifreeze that we already have on site. So, great plan, Jerry. Thanks for sharing that with everybody. No motion for that, I don't think. We just kind of, as an information piece for everybody. Then the redstone lighting, Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you, but we do have a bid for $267,000 and some change. Basically, that's lights and poles and everything. We're going to recommend, I'm going to recommend right now that we kind of hold off on the PA system part of that. We maybe look at a solution where we have a portable outdoor PA system that can be used, and did a little bit of research tonight here in North Carolina and found some stuff that's decent that we would be able to use at other places as well. But Mike, I'll let you go real quick on the lighting.
Yeah, so the lighting system we've been through with multiple companies. So if you recall back in, I think, 2020, there was a guaranteed energy that the school district went into. There was money for lighting system at that time that was taken out. There was still left over $400-some-thousand in that for change, and we pulled off the lights back at that time because the price went through the roof during COVID. Yes. So we have that money. So me and Jerry were able to work with multiple people in figuring out how we could use that money that was there. So by going through this and that bid process that happened back in 2020, we were able to talk with the company that won the bid back then, where we could get the lights, link them up with the preferred vendor that's locally here to do the installation, that we have a good relationship, so that we could be in control of the whole project and still use that money without touching any general fund. So this quote actually came in less. The only thing on here that is a potential cost that I want the board to know is there's permitting. In that permitting, depending on how they come out and look at it, there could be an engineering cost on pole depth on the poles that we are working through with K2 of what we have to do on that. So there could be an engineering cost added on top of this, but the money is set aside for this, and we will not have to touch general fund money to do the lights.
Thanks, man. One question. Lighting, what about on top, press box?
We are still in contacts there. They're working on the plans. So as soon as those plans are together for the press box, that'll have to go through a bid process on that. That's definitely going to be over the $23,000 for doing that. So that as soon as we get the plans, the next day, if the board's okay with it, we could put out start the bid process immediately as soon as it comes out, as long as the board's okay with, as soon as we get the drawings to put out for it. But that's gonna have to go through a full advertise 3 weeks, 3 different weeks, 2 different papers, do a bid opening. That's gonna have to go through the whole sealed bid process.
Thanks.
Jared, so do we need a motion for that for Thursday? It sounds like it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Correct.
Yeah, we can add that as soon as we get plans. We'll bid it. That way we don't have to wait till May's meeting to start the bid process, if we get them before that.
And just on Redstone, the stump is gone down there. These guys, Mike and Jerry, did a great job. Got Lee Supply to come out, or Lee Plumbing and Supply, to come out and take care of the tree. And then the plan with the lights and the pavement is to try to schedule those so that we get lights in, then we pave, so we don't screw up new pavement putting in lights. So good stuff there from those guys. I appreciate it. The scissor lift, you'll notice in your pocket there are 2, one for like 16 grand and one for 12.6. The team is recommending the 12.6 one. This case, smaller is better. We'll be able to use it throughout the district, get it in more places. The big one is good, but it's an extra 4 grand, so I'd rather, this one, the 12.6 is less, obviously, but it can be used pretty much anywhere. So I'll yield if there's any questions for that.
Say
That's a good, yeah, I don't know, Jerry, I don't know if you can help me out on
What's the
that.
cost to rent one?
And is
It's
that
not used
feasible
every day.
for us on the amount of use we do?
About $700 a day for a JLG lift. And pickup deliveries usually
Yeah, we will definitely go over that amount in the first year without having.
Is there, Ross, is there a delivery charge? Maintenance plan?
Yeah, it's all on there. That's a great question. I know I gotta probably get a little bit more information on it.
Well, this time, man, for all these companies, they abandon you after they get their check.
Yeah, what's the warranty too? I forgot to ask that question also.
It's just a legitimate question. You can find that out. I'd like to know. If we're paying that price, that includes maintenance, delivery, setup. And who's training them? Who's training them how to operate that?
They currently already have that same one that's.
The same one?
Yeah, it's the one-man lift that they're used to using already, but I'm sure if we need additional training, we can
very
do
good.
that through the company.
Thank you.
I have a question for Ross. Ross, I know we're fixing up the concrete, we're fixing up the lights and everything. What about the inside? Are we doing anything with the referee's room, with the locker rooms?
Oh yeah, we talked about that back in January, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up. I think what we wanted to do is basically, I think, and Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we want to kind of dedicate about $5,000 for a year, basically, to get that cleaned up and have a 3-year plan to kind of work through the lower portion of that floor?
Yeah, so
I don't think we made action on that. That's probably something we need to start moving forward on.
Well,
Jerry, I'll let you, if you can help me out.
Yeah, I don't remember which board meeting it was, but the board brought up about putting $10,000 down there. So that's the amount that I already have allocated into the budget for next year. So I have 10,000 set aside in the budget for maintenance and updates
Starting
to there.
when-
So July 1st, they
Okay.
can start.
Long as
With
we're
next year's
ready
budget.
for-
Yes. So I think the initial discussion was the home locker rooms. Let's take care of our kids first. Home locker rooms, then start working back. And the goal is, me and Jerry set a goal that by June, we'd have a 5-year plan for some different maintenance updates that we want to present and give to the board. So it can be an ongoing plan that everyone is aware of. And I know I'm going to be leaving, but it's something that can be passed on whoever's next. And it's something that we don't want to go in this circle of we're going to try to do stuff down there and then it never gets done and then it goes on to the next person. So our goal is to have a 5-year plan on that facility, 5-year on the roof, 5-year for the parking lots, so we can pass that on to the board and hopefully the board can keep everyone accountable and move forward with those upgrades.
Mike, not to jump ship, but did we look into the locker rooms here at the high school? What we were going to do with the lockers itself?
We got a lot of money to do our own lockers. That allows the arts to place arts to the lockers.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, man.
Along with the pensions, a lot of them get worked out to the local supports so they're not able to get work out.
Thank you.
Okay, and final, item D, pending, board approval, we'd like to advertise for the concrete flooring of the maintenance building. In your packet, you got a sheet about the specifications for that concrete job. And that's my part. Pending any questions.
Mr. Bashir? Add the following names to Malacca's Serwania Jew. And I'd probably chew that name. Best I can do it.
Okay, discuss utilize funds from the Pennsylvania Commission and Crime Delinquency PCCD grant to finance the purchase of Emergent 3 public safety app. An initial cost of $6,000, $2,500 from onboarding, setup, and training, $3,500 for the first year, and application and services. then at the cost of $3,500 per year for 2 years, paid for by the PCCD grant. Can we explain what that actually is?
Mr. Hamilton?
Yeah.
Basically what it is it's an application that will be set up. What it does is they come in, they'll map out the school. You would have a real-time map of the school by rooms. Each teacher, staff member can have the app on their phone or computers. For instance, if there was a lockdown, they would get an alert sent to their app, to the computer, to the classroom. They can respond to that immediately, lock it down. They could have a drop-down menu that gives them what procedures they now need to take. So, for instance, if it's an emergency, a lot of people go to the vacant lock. They forget what they're supposed to do. You hit that button, or hit the drop-down menu, it tells you this, 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 and this. You can mark where you're safe. You can mark where there's a problem in a particular room. It'll show you evacuation routes, where to assemble. It just kind of takes a lot of the process out of their hands by having to kind of remember what their training was. So it also works that law enforcement can have the application as well, so they can see what's going on, they can see each individual room there, whether there's a problem in it. It's one of those programs that also kind of, as technology advances, you can advance with it and tie into some of our programs, something we already use, for instance, like the new camera system. It might be that if there's a problem in this one particular hallway, it might be able to say that camera now locks on it, you can see it.
And this is for 1 year for the app, or
No, it's a 3-year contract.
3 years? Thank you.
Hey Terry, I just looked at the website for that place. I'm gonna kind of check it out, but there's live demos of it as well. So if anybody else is interested, it might not be, I'll send a link if you want to kind of just read up on it a little bit. And then on that same thing, Chief, I don't know, I think we talked about on May 7th, there is the crisis management for school-based incidents, partnering rural law enforcement with first responders and local school systems. Is anybody from the district attending that down at Cal that day? I'm going to go from the board, but if anybody else is out there,
Yes,
are you aware?
Director Hamilton will be there as well.
Okay. Thank you.
I got a question, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Mine is, maybe I'm misconstrued here, but we had job openings on the school website. AD, football coach, basketball coach, custodian, business manager, etc. I could be wrong, but shouldn't the board have, that's our job to...
For new positions, Mr. Bashir, these are all positions that have been in the system. So we advertise, we're not doing any hiring, we haven't done any of the interviews yet. And the board, as always, has final say in who they hire. So this is just to get as many applicants as we can, to get it out there as quickly as we can, to be proactive in the interview process.
I can appreciate that, but what I'm getting at is, what if we wanted to change the criteria?
You can, that's going to be part of the discussion that we have in executive session, because there's some things I need to bring to your attention regarding some of those positions.
I mean, that's my point in this is, to post a job and then people call you, what's the job consist of? I couldn't tell them, because maybe we want to change it. That's maybe what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, Mr. Bashir, I was going to ask the same thing, same question. I had posed that question to Dr. Hartbauer in a text message probably a day after they were put online, and I never got an answer, so I appreciate you asking that question. Also, Jeremy, Mrs. Christopher, Mrs. Gibble, I want to apologize to you for you not being able to get answers. My advice is put those questions in emails, send them to the person you want the answers from, and we'll see if you get answers. Because last meeting, Mrs. Christopher, you asked questions, never got an answer. Then when you tried to ask it a second time, you were told, advice of my attorney, I'm not answering anything. So I don't know whether we have an attorney involved in something right now or not. But, or maybe that was Mr. Davis, I don't know. But I just apologize that you can't get answers.
Just one thing, Dr. Hartbauer, respectfully, maybe you can walk me through how to get whatever I'm doing on this computer wrong, that I'm not getting the email, something I will apologize for something maybe I outbursted too quickly, but it just felt like I wasn't getting the emails, and starting tomorrow, just email what I gotta do.
Do you have it on your phone, Rocky?
I don't have it on my phone, I have to get on the home computer.
You don't have it?
It should come to your phone as a, in the reminder. We can go through this
That's what
tomorrow.
I used to get, and then it stopped, correct?
Yeah, because I thought you got it, because you would call me and say, hey, did you get a message?
For taking the position I'm taking,
We can help you fix that.
is there an app that I can?
Yeah, what stopped?
I don't know what's stopped, but I that's, so,
I'll make a motion to go into executive session. For personnel.
Second. Okay.
Mr. Davis, can you take me along with you?
Well, we can take that.
They just solicited about due diligence to ensure it's not going to create any issues from a privacy perspective. Because that's what we have. I'm not agreeing on the complaint like what we know. Anybody do due diligence on that to ensure using the Remind app is the most efficient transmission of these study privileged confidential information. I'm not calling it out, but like laying a point, you don't want that stuff to leak.
Right.
Right.
Anybody look into that?
I didn't hear your first part. Jeremy, say it again, start at the beginning.
what, before he does, we're going to the executive session for what reason?
It's a risk for PI.
Right.
Did anybody do the due diligence for the use of the Remind app to ensure that what is being shared and communicated is safe? Ruling out residual risk, inherent risk of information being misappropriated and honestly being hacked into. And again, you see, look, I've tried multiple times. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm looking out for you guys. I'm looking out for you. I'm not ordering all of you. You all walk away.
That's the respect we give.
There you go. Listen to what I